What's up, everybody? It's JT Sports back to you guys with another video, and I'm here with a Miami Hurricanes video. Now, for those of you guys who don't know, who are new to the channel, I am a Miami Hurricanes fan. Haven't uploaded in a while because it really hasn't been nothing interesting for me to talk about. But in this video, I'm going to be talking about their 2020 NFL Draft prospects. And now, you guys who don't know, I love the NFL Draft. I love talking about it, and I don't want to wait till next year to make videos, so I'm going to start making videos about it earlier. So I'm going to be talking about the Miami Hurricanes prospects that have NFL hype or NFL potential, and I'm going to be giving my early NFL draft projections, talking about which rounds these players could fall in if the draft was to start today, and what these players' draft stocks are before the college football season kicks off. So the first player that we have halfback DJ Dallas. He is a junior, so after the season, he could declare for the NFL draft if he wants to. Last season, he had 617 rushing yards, 6 touchdowns, and he averaged 5.7 yards per carry. Now, DJ Dallas, I have him projected to go in the fifth round. I have an early fifth round projection on him. And this could improve. All these guys who I'm about to say is draft stocks can either go up or go down. Now, DJ Dallas, he's 5'10, 220 pounds. He's a very athletic guy. He came into the Hurricanes as an athlete. He was a quarterback in high school, but he switched his position. This guy is very, very talented. Not only is he a very good running back, but he's also very good catching the ball. Now, last season, we didn't really get a chance to see that, but this season, we should be able to get a lot more of DJ Dallas, of him being able to catch the ball, because I believe, in my opinion, he has very good hands, and he's a fifth rounder, in my opinion, because he actually has a lot of potential to have his draft stock increase, because his running back class doesn't really have anybody that's going to knock my socks off other than a couple of guys, maybe about 3 or 4 guys. But other than that, DJ Dallas draft stock probably is going to improve a lot. I could see him going from the fifth round all the way up to when the draft starts, being drafted in the third round, because he has good size. Has very good agility, very elusive, hard to bring down. So he's just a complete package. He's what you want out of an NFL running back. Very versatile. He can also has pretty good hands also, so he can catch passes at the backfield. He can also line up and play a little bit of receiver, even though he needs a little bit more development in that department. But overall, if he was to declare for the NFL draft after this season, he'll be a very solid prospect. So next up, we have wide receiver Jeff Thomas. Now, Jeff Thomas, he's a junior. He's 5'10", 175 pounds. Last season, he had 563 receiving yards, 35 receptions, and he caught 3 touchdowns. Now, Jeff Thomas is an interesting case, right? Now, I have him with a third-round projection. Now, he can go into the first round, but his draft stock isn't really going to increase that much over the course of this season, despite how much production he has. He'll still, the most I can see him going is in the second round before the NFL Combine. Now, the only way I see Jeff Thomas going in the first round is if he runs a very fast 40 time, which he should, because he's a very good route runner and he's very fast. So a 4.3, 4.2, not a fast 4.2, maybe like a 4.28 or a 4.34, that will boost him into the first round. Because look, this is a different wide receiver class. It's very unique because a lot of these wide receivers, these guys are exceptional getting yards after catch or yak, very fast, very reliable deep threats. And these guys, I've never seen a wide receiver class like this in a while. And it's very unique. And Jeff Thomas, he's a very talented wide receiver. But when it comes to this wide receiving class, we need to see him. I need to see more of him in the combine. That's how he's going to boost his draft stats, because a lot of these wide receivers are quick. They're very elusive. They're Jeff Thomas and all these wide receivers coming into the 2020 draft class. They're very similar in terms of skill set. You got the dude from Colorado. You got CD Lamb. You got Jerry Judy. All these guys, Great wide receivers, electric with the ball in their hands. So Jeff Thomas, what's going to separate him from the pack is not what he's going to do during this college football season. It's what he's going to do during the combine. Him running that 40 time and showing how good of a route runner he is. That's how he's going to get into the first round. So I do believe Jeff Thomas can go into the first round of the 2020 NFL draft if he does declare for the NFL draft. Now we have wide receiver KJ Osborne, who transferred from the University of Buffalo. He's 6 feet, 205 pounds. Last season, he had 892 receiving yards, 53 receptions, and caught 7 touchdowns. Now, KJ Osborne, he decided to transfer because he wanted a step up in talent. And he knows if he wants to get drafted high, he's going to have to play against some top-notch competition. So Miami was a good place for him. He's going to be able to play against a lot of good schools, and he's going to get tested, right? I have him with a 4th-round projection as of right now. I could see him being a 2nd-round guy, but he's going to have a chance. Week 1, we're playing the University of Florida. And what not a better chance to boost your draft status than going against 2 of some of the best cornerbacks in the country and 2 of the best cornerbacks going into the 2020 NFL draft. You got CJ Henderson, you got Marco Wilson. Both of those guys, very, very talented guys who should be going into the first round of the 2020 NFL draft. So KJ Osborne is going to have a big test in front of him, man. He's a strong wide receiver, also has very good hands, solid route runner. So he's going to have an opportunity to impress and get his name out there. But for right now, I have him with a 4th-round projection. I could see him going in the 2nd round or 3rd round, depending on how this season goes. But I don't see him dropping no lower than maybe to the 6th round. But he should be a 4th-round pick, basically when the time the draft comes around. But the highest I can see him going up is to the 2nd round. Next up, we have defensive lineman Jonathan Garvin. He's a junior, so he can declare for the draft this season after it's done, or he can decide to come back for 1 more year. He's 6'4", 235 pounds. Had 60 tackles last season, 17.5 tackles for loss, and 5.5 sacks. Now, a lot of reasons why he had a lot of production was because Gerald Willis was getting a bunch of double teams, and they also had a bunch of talented guys on that defensive line last season. So he's going to be that guy, right? When these NFL scouts come to Miami games, we're going to be watching defensive lineman Jonathan Garvin because this is a guy who I'm very high on, and a lot of people are very high on him too. Has a lot of potential. He's 235 pounds, so you can move him to an outside linebacker position in the NFL, which is most likely what he will play. He's 235 pounds, so that's basically typical linebacker, outside linebacker, your typical edge rusher size. This guy has a lot of potential. Very good pass rusher. I have him projected to go into the 2nd round of the draft. And I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up becoming the 1st rounder when it's all said and done. Think he's going to have a very solid season, a great season actually. I could see him having double-digit sacks, and he could easily slip into the 1st round of the draft. Now, I'm not talking about top 15. He'll be a late 1st rounder in the 2020 NFL draft. But this guy is very talented. Look out for this guy, defensive lineman Jonathan Garvin. Next up, we have linebacker Shaquille Quarterman. He's 6'1", 240 pounds. Last season, he had 82 tackles, 14 tackles for loss, 5 sacks, and 1 interception. Now, Shaquille Quarterman, if you was to ask NFL scouts right now, or people in the NFL draft community that, love the draft like me, if you was to ask them who is the best linebacker in the Miami Hurricanes linebacking core, 60% will probably say Shaquille Quarterman, and 40% will probably say Michael Pinckney. Now, Shaquille Quarterman, he's very good in coverage. This guy, he makes a lot of plays. A lot of tackles for loss, as we've seen, 14. Very good tackler. So I have him with a 2nd round projection. He can easily slip into the 1st round as well. He could be a late 1st rounder. Has very good size. He's 6'1", 240. A very solid speed. So this is a guy, depending on how this season goes, he can end up going into the 1st round. But even if he doesn't have a good season, I don't see him slipping no later past the 4th round. But this guy is very talented. To me, he's the best linebacker for the Miami Hurricanes. Next up, we have linebacker Michael Pinckney. Michael Pinckney, he had 74 tackles, 11 tackles for loss, 3.5 sacks, and 1 interception. And according to Pro Football Focus, Michael Pinckney had one of the lowest completion percentages and QBRs when he was playing coverage. He only allowed quarterbacks to complete 40% of their passes according to Pro Football Focus. So he's very good in coverage. But I have a third round projection on him. He could be a second rounder, but there's no way I see him going into the first round. And the reason why is because he's 6'1", 230 pounds, and he might not even be 230. The website that I saw him listed as 228 pounds, so I just went ahead and rounded it. Some websites had him listed at 220 and stuff like that. So his size is a big factor, a little bit undersized, but it shouldn't hurt him in the long run. He shouldn't drop drastically because of that, because he fits the modern day bill of what you want in a linebacker going into the NFL. Now, you want a linebacker who's able to coverage, who's able to be very good in coverage, who's able to cover tight ends and whatnot, very good in zone, whatever his assignment is in coverage. You also want a linebacker who's a pretty good tackler. Michael Pinckney is very good in both of those departments. He checks the boxes, and if it wasn't for his size, I would have him as a second rounder or potentially a first round projection. Next up, we have linebacker Zach McCloud. Now, he's that other Miami Hurricanes linebacker who decided to come back and play his senior year. He's 6'2", 230 pounds, had 44 tackles, 4.5 tackles for loss, and a half of 1 sack and a half. I have a 7th round projection on him. I'm not the only person. He's been solid for Miami, but I mean, it's just, he hasn't really had a off the charts production to make you feel like he's higher than the 7th round projection. But he could, go to the combine, show out, and he could potentially become a 6th or 5th rounder. He's going to get some looks because he's 6'2", 230 pounds, so the size is there. He probably weighs more than that. And he's not terrible. It's just, he has kind of been overshadowed by Michael Pinckney and Shaq Quarterman. So he's definitely going to get some looks by the time the draft comes around. But I just see him as of right now a 7th round pick. Not a bad player, pretty solid player, but I just want to see more out of him. If he has an off the chart season, I could see him going into like the 4th or 5th round. And if he tests well in the NFL Combine, he could potentially be a 5th or 6th rounder. But for right now, before the season starts, I have a 7th round projection on him. Next up, we have defensive end Trayvon Hill, who is a redshirt senior. Now, he transferred from Virginia Tech. He got dismissed. He's 6'3", 245 pounds, only played in 3 games. But boy, here's a reason why I'm very, very excited and very high on him. He only played in 3 games, had 11 tackles, 4.5 tackles for loss, and 3.5 sacks. That production is off the freaking chain. Now, imagine what his stats would have been if he would have played in every game last season. This guy probably would have had 13.5 sacks, 12.5 sacks. This guy, I'm very high on him. I have a 3rd-round projection on him. He's another guy who I could see slipping into the 1st round. The only reason is because we haven't really seen this guy play a full season, but I'm pretty sure he's going to get a lot of looks once he plays a full season with the Miami Hurricanes. He's probably going to have double-digit sacks. He's going to be a monster on that Miami Hurricanes defensive line. He can easily go in the 1st round. This guy is a very good pass rusher. He's also very solid when it comes to, filling the gaps and, clogging up the running lanes and stuff like that. So he's just an overall very solid defensive end, or if he moves to the NFL, he could play outside linebacker depending on what scheme he is, or depending on what scheme that team that drafts him runs or whatnot. But Trayvon Hill, he's a 1st-round talent. I just don't have him projected to go in the 1st round because we just need to see a lot more out of him. So the last player that I have on this list is cornerback Trojan Bandy. Now, last season, Trojan Bandy, he had 36 tackles, 4.5 tackles for loss, 3 interceptions, 8 pass deflections, and 2 fumble recoveries. Had a turnover chain 5 times. He is one of the returning defensive backs from that previous loaded secondary that the Miami Hurricanes had last season. And he's going to be the #1 cornerback. I have a 4th-round projection on him. Very solid tackler. He's very solid in coverage. He's very physical, a very physical corner. And that's with all of the Miami Hurricane corners that they had last season. Michael Jackson was very physical. Trojan Bandy is that kind of corner. He's getting in your face, getting in your grill. Very good man-to-man, very good in press. And he reminds me a lot of Jawan Williams. I don't know, you guys probably don't know who that is, but he was a cornerback who played for Vanderbilt last year. They're kind of the same. They're very solid tacklers. They're also very physical corners, very good in press. And Trojan Bandy, man, I like him a lot. Fourth rounder, I could see him slipping into the second round as well when by the time this season is done, by the time the NFL combine rolls around, and even if he doesn't have a good season, I can't see him dropping no later than the sixth round. He definitely won't go undrafted because this guy is very talented. And he's one of my favorite players on this Miami Hurricanes defense. So let me know what team you guys want me to do next. Make sure to like the video and subscribe for more videos and more content. And thanks for watching.